class. To begin our lesson on 19th century advancements in travel and communication, I want you to think about this question. How do you think people sent messages quickly across the country without email or phones or technology? Can someone raise a quiet hand? All right, go ahead. Horses? Good. So back then, they used horses to get messages across quickly. And this advancement was called the Pony Express, which we're going to be learning about today. So before we begin learning about the Pony Express, what did we learn about yesterday that helped communication and travel happen? All right, go ahead.
Roads.
Roads, yeah. Roads helped people get to places faster, get to themselves faster, and helped mail get around faster because people could walk on these roads, wagons, and they weren't really like roads we have today, but they were very helpful in history. All right, I want you to read today's objective with me, so please read along as I say it. Given a prompt, students will write a brief paragraph explaining how the Pony Express improved communication in the 19th century compared to earlier methods with 90% accuracy. Right, and what I mean by that is when we're done with this lesson, I'm going to give you a question, and I just want you guys to answer it in a couple sentences and use some of the information that we learned, some of the details in it, to answer the question, all right? All right, so the Pony Express was a mail carriage system that connected the Midwest to the eastern side. It lasted 18 months from 1860 to 1861. And in this pony you can see this cowboy, and he's on a horse, and he's traveling super fast. All right. Back then, the West wasn't full of people yet, and communication was hard to get across. And they wanted to get mail across super fast because the Civil War was approaching. So communication was super important to get from California. The founders were William Russell, Alexander Majors, and William Waddell. And they had already had a business that had wagons, men working, oxmen. So they were prepared for this new advancement. So they created a plan in 1860 to get mail delivered from St. Joseph, Missouri to California in just 10 days. And that was really incredible because back then it would take months to get mail across. This was the quickest way. And it went from Sacramento, California to Missouri. All right. The route was 1,900 miles. There were 184 stations, and these stations were separated by 10 to 15 miles. And how it worked was one rider would get on a horse with their satchel of mail, and they would ride 10 to 15 miles on this horse super fast. They would get to the station, get off, and get on a new fresh horse and go again 10 to 15 miles. And they would keep doing this until they reached the end of the trail. That way, they could get the mail faster because the horses were fresh. They weren't tired. The riders had to be skilled and they had to have strong horses. They could only weigh 125 pounds. Why do you think they had to be so light? Can anyone raise a quiet hand?
So that they could carry the mail fast?
Right, the horse needs it to be light, right?
Yes.
So that they're not weighed down. Good. The pouch was called a muchia, and it could carry up to 20 pounds of mail. The average rider would get $100 per month, which was pretty good back then. All right, Alexander Major purchased new horses for the Pony Express, so he bought about 400 horses, and these horses were not big, large, bulky horses. They were smaller and they were very fast, and they were called Mustangs. And we have Mustang cars and they're very fast cars, right? Yeah. So when you think about the horses, I want you to compare them to the cars we have now, Mustangs, and how people drive them super fast. All right, the first trip took place on April 3rd, 1860 from St. Joseph, Missouri, and it took 10 days to get to San Francisco, California. The pouch had 49 letters, 5 private telegrams, and some papers for San Francisco. There was 2 riders that could have possibly been the first rider, William Richardson and John Fry. All right. Now, I want you to turn to your shoulder partner, and I want you to think, what challenges did these Pony Express riders face back then? All right, can anyone answer what challenges do you think that the Pony Riders could have faced back then? Raising a quiet hand. Go ahead.
Attacks from Indians.
Yeah, so back then, the land was wild. There was Indians, and they were not happy that we were on their land, and they would try to attack the Pony Express riders while they were working. And the main tribe was the Puup tribe, and there was 16 employees killed, 150 horses stolen, and $75,000 in loss and damages. So they also had to face bad weather, rough road conditions, right? Because roads were just starting to be built, so there probably wasn't many back then. All right. So each mail to be delivered cost $5, which was pretty pricey back then. And then by the end, when it was ending, it was $1. There is only 250 pieces of mail still around today. There weren't many letters because of the high cost. The Pony Express ended, like I said, it only lasted 18 months, and this was because of the invention called the telegraph. And the telegraph sent messages through wires, and the first telegraph message was sent from Salt Lake City. It said, Utah, it's firm for the Constitution and laws of our once happy country, from Brigham Young. 2 days after the first telegram, the Pony Express was retired, or it stopped completely. All right, now we're gonna do a worksheet together, and I want you guys to take out your whiteboards, and I want you to put true if you think the statement is correct, and false if you do not agree with it. If the question is false, what would the correct answer be? We're gonna try to answer those together, okay? So the first one says, each Pony Express station was about 10 to 15 miles apart. Do we think that's true, or do we think that's false? All right, we're gonna flip our boards up in 3, 2, 1. All All right, I see a lot of T's. Good. So the correct answer is true. They were 10 to 15 miles apart. Good job, guys. The next question says, only about 250 examples of Pony Express mail are known to exist today. Is that true or is that false? All right, let's write our answers down. We're gonna flip our boards in 3, 2, 1. Go ahead. All right, I'm looking around. All right, the correct answer is true. There was only 250, and that was because there wasn't a lot of mail sent because of the high prices, if we remember. Number 3, the Pony Express route extended from New York to San Francisco. Now try to remember that trail that I showed you guys, and did it make its way all the way to New York? All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, I'm looking around and I see a lot of F's, and it is correct, that is false. Now, does anyone know what the route was? Where did it end? It started in San Francisco, and where did it end? Raising a quiet hand, go ahead.
Missouri.
Missouri, good job. All right, make sure you correct that on your paper. Next, the nickname ponies was given to the horses used for the Pony Express, even though they were more like regular horses. Is that true or false? All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. Let me see. I see a lot of T's. The correct answer is true. They were like regular horses. Good. 5. The Pony Express set up about 100 stations along its route. Did I say 100? Who can remember? True or false? All right. We're gonna flip our boards in 3, 2, 1. All right. Let me see. I see a lot of F's. False. False is correct. Can anyone tell me what the correct answer was? How many stations were set up? Please raise a quiet hand. All right, go ahead.
180.
180, yes, good job. And our last question together. The average monthly wage for the Pony Express riders was $50. This is how much they made a month for doing this dangerous job. True or false? All right, we're gonna flip our boards in 3, 2, 1. Go ahead. All right, I see a lot of F's for false, and false is correct. Who can tell me what the correct monthly wage was for the Pony Express riders? All right, Tiffany?
100.
100 is correct. Good job, guys. All right, so if you got any of them wrong, please correct them. Make sure you put the correct answer in. I want you to put your notes to the side. And now I'm gonna pass out some paper. And we're gonna write a couple sentences and answer this question. And the question says, explain how the Pony Express improved communication in the 19th century compared to earlier methods. Include at least 2 specific details to support your explanation. So you could talk about how fast it got to people compared to other methods. You could talk about what changed it, difficulties, all right? Make sure you get information from the lesson and include that in your writing. You can also use the true and false questions to help you. All right, guys, to wrap up, what is something that we learned today? Go ahead, Tiffany.
Pony Express.
Yeah, we learned about the Pony Express, and what was it? What happened?
Delivery
Go ahead.
of mail faster.
And how many days did it take? Go ahead, Tiffany.
10 days.
10 days, and that was really fast back then. Good. So let's go over our objective again. Given a prompt, students will write a brief paragraph explaining how the Pony Express improved communication in the 19th century compared to earlier methods with 90% accuracy. Now, I want you to grab your whiteboards again, and if you felt like you were able to write your sentences and you felt confident and you had 2 details in it, I want you to write green on it. And if you felt like you had some trouble coming up with ideas and details for it and couldn't really answer it, please write red. All right, and we're gonna flip our board so I can see who was feeling good and who was kind of feeling like they need a little extra help. All right, 3, 2, 1.